seminar that we are going to consider is the combined offering plan. Here, there are many areas, or some areas, that every stewardship director need to know. For example, you need to know the philosophy of the stewardship, also the history of stewardship and the theology of the stewardship. Why? Because with these three elements, you are going to define the right methodology for your region. We have different regions in the world. We cannot do the same in every region. So how to find the methodology? Now, when people elect you as a stewardship director, they are expecting results, you know? At the end of the month, at the end of the quarter, you have to show the bonds. People think that we are miracles preachers, that with a sermon, we can turn the figures about tithe and offering. But these three are basics in order to define the methodology. And the number 5 is the organizational structure. So, first of all, we are going to consider the concept of stewardship. This is a quotation from the SDA Encyclopedia about the stewardship. And the Adventist Encyclopedia says, in a broad sense, the word refers to man's responsibility. This encyclopedia was published in 1966. And at that time, the concept was very well identified. Because stewardship in the New Testament means responsibility, and in the Old Testament means responsibility. Different words, one in Hebrew, another in Greek. This is in a broad sense, you know, life, physical, talent, ability, material possession, etc. And the paragraph concludes with this. The word stewardship means one's responsibility for a wide use of the material resources. That is the restricted sense. That is the reason why the stewardship was organized as a department of the General Conference. Now, I'm going to give you some historical information that are very important, and maybe the first time that you are going to hear this. The goal of the development service in North American Division was to help churches raise funds for financial church building projects. So this was organized as a service, fundraising services. At the 50th session in 1966, after 12 years, the North American was doing and working with this plan. The GC session take the vote to create the General Conference Development Department. I want to call your attention to this. In North America was development service. When the action was taken at the GC session, the name of the department was Development Department. Please take in consideration the word development, because we are going to deal with this and to clarify some situation. The new department role will be promote a spiritual revival to do fundraising. Some stewardship are a little frustrating that the people have the picture that we are fundraiser. But that was what the church organized at the beginning. There is no problem with that. It's the way to do it correctly. Now, in 1966, the session authorized to convert the development services from North America to be a world department called Development Department. But the General Conference administration and chaired by the president formed a committee in order to consider what will be the role, what will the method, what will the, and that committee recommend that the name would be Stewardship and Development Department. Now, look at this. The development word and the development concept was included, not disappear. So the official name of the department was Stewardship and the Development. This was a successful program between 1967 until 1980. 13 years, very, very successful. But the department was merged with the Ministerial Association in 1980. I can't tell you the history about this situation, but it's very interesting also because the time. After 5 years, the General Conference realized that was not working in that way. So in 1985, a new great idea came to the General Conference to organize a super department that they call the Church Ministries Department, that include family, youth, Sabbath school, personal ministries, and stewardship. After 5 years, in the GC session in 1990, the department was not working well. So the delegate asked for finish that experiment. But Elder Falkenberg asked the delegates, allow us to prove additional 5 years. So additional 5 years got it to them. After that, in 1995, the experiment conclude, finish, no more. And the department was called in Utrecht Stewardship Department. Are you following me? Now the development concept was eliminated. Why? This is very important that you take note of this, because I'm going to use in the explanation of the combined offering plan. In 2010, you know, the General Conference renamed the department as Stewardship Ministry. We have to finish sometime. Now come to the offerings. Many offerings have been collected since this 1918, according to an offering calendar. But listen what happened in the field of offerings. In 1967 appears what at that time we call combined budget. Combined budget. Combined budget was the first step to simplify the offering system. What that means, combined budget, was to take a church, combine all the expenses, department, administrative, and ask the member to give one offering for the church. So the local church, instead to promote many offerings for the local church, they promote now one offering that was called combined offering. But the other level, local conference, need to continue promoting offerings. The division and the general conference continue promoting offerings. So only the concept of simplified plan to combine appear only at the level of the local church. 20 years after the organization of the Stewardship and Development Department, appear in the Far Eastern Division under the leadership of Elder Charles Griffin, a new experiment that was called Simplify Offering Plan in Indonesia. The following year, 1988, appeared in India a similar plan, that now include the 3 levels, and they call Comprehensive Stewardship Plan. In 1994, the General Conference called for a stewardship summit. 13 divisions, all the president, all the secretary, all the treasurer, all the stewardship directors. They are going to, at that time, the plan was to study the situation of the stewardship around the world. And do you know what they found? And what we found, because I was there also? Many systems for offerings around the world. So finally, the summit tried to do the best and select 3 as the official that yesterday Pastor Bonfin explained. Calendar offerings, the personal giving plan from North American that was a modification of the original combined budget. Follow me, don't lose. Combined budget in North America, change the name to the present name, personal giving plan. And the new combined offering plan. Let's continue. This is the rationale. This is the section of the philosophy of stewardship. What was the rationale behind this plan? The combined offering plan applies the same principle that is applied in the distribution of tithes now to the distribution of offerings. Same principle. Let's consider tithe. When a church member gives his or her tithes to the local church, the church treasury send it to the conference, okay? And it is distributed in the conference to support the pastoral ministries and the work of the evangelization. Now, what is the formula that apply the conference treasurer? The formula includes 10% to the union and 10% to the general conference. But that was in 1901, because before 1901, we don't have union levels. Between 1876, that was the year the general conference changed the systematic benevolence. Discontinue systematic benevolence as a weekly offering or weekly contribution, and now invite the church to support the new tithe and offering. So this is an issue that is important for you. Also, when Ellen G. White or any book mention about systematic benevolence, you need to know when. What is the year? Because between 1859 and 1876, systematic benevolence means weekly offering. Why our pioneers organized the financial plan based in offerings only? Because that's what they know. They knew the same in all the churches, Methodist Church, Congregational Church. All the Protestant church was based in offering, not tithe. Why not tithe? Because tithe was connected with the Old Covenant and was only for use. And still, they believe. So they believe that way. So how was the distribution of the tithe between 1976 and 1901? We don't have information. If you found, share with me. But in 1901, the General Conference approved the idea to have union levels. Why? Because the Australia, because Europe, and because Asia. So that was the 3 union levels, the official levels at that time. So because the union is now entered in the context of the financial, now the formula was 10% for the General Conference, 10% for the union. But a little modification occurred in 1913. Why? Because appear now all the divisions in the world. And the formula now is that the tithe from local conference is to send 10% to the union and 10% to the division. Why? Because the division is considered a regional office for a specific territory representing the General Conference. Now, there are another information about how the General Conference received a tithe, but we are not going to spend more time in this. What I need to call your attention is that in the tithe formula, the local conference sharing 20%, right? 10 to the union, 10 to the division. The remaining 80% was for the conference, to the operational budget. That was. This system has been working with a great successful in our church for more than 100 years. Now come to the combined offering plan. We try to apply the same principle to the field of offerings. You know, because in tithe, you don't have a division promoting tithe for the division, a general conference promoting tithe for general conference, a union promoting tithe for the union, a local conference promoting tithe for. It's not working that way. We promote only tithing. And with a formula, all the levels of the church receive the support. Now, comes to the offerings. With the combined offering plan, the local church receives all the regular and special offerings. A little more, I'm going to explain what means regular, what means special. And will distribute 20% for the world church. When we use the expression World Church, we are referring to the General Conference level and to the division level. That's the understanding. Now, this 20%, please listen to me. Listen to me. This is very important. When I visited the world field, I found some irregularities in some divisions. So it's necessary this clarification. The 20% for the global church or for the world church include the regular and special offerings of the general conference and only the special offerings of the division. Why? Because the division don't have a separate regular offering. The only that have regular offering is the general conference. The 4 offering of the Sabbath school are the regular offerings. That's the only. It has a purpose to support the missions around the world. So this 20%, you can divide 50-50. It's not fair. Because you have to cover only the special offerings. What are the special offerings of the division? Some special projects. Some division doesn't have a special offering. So in that particular case, if the division don't have a special offering, the total 20% need to send to the general conference. Now, the following is very important. If you share 20% of the offerings, what is the amount of the percentage remaining? 80, right? 80%. Is the division has not the development plan, the division has not the authority to use this 20%. I'm going to explain a little more. But in that time, 1967 to 1980, we have the development plan. The development plan was a fantastic idea. And allow me to tell you a secret. The leader who create and promote this fantastic idea still is alive, and I remember his name, Paul Smith. Some places you are going to maybe it's Paul Smith. What a fantastic idea. What was the rationale, the philosophy behind the development plan? The local conference received tithe. And tithe is for the operational budget. But the local conference has responsibility with the building churches, with the support the schools, primary schools, to help the academics. I am not talking about the support that the school are receiving from the tithe, because that's for salary. But we are talking about development, physical development. So the conference, the local conference, vary in the situation around the world. But the local conference need money non-tithe. I mean offering. That the conference could help in this. So the wonderful idea was this. The wonderful idea was this. Listen, very simple. We are going to have a budget. we call development budget. The organizational levels are going to contribute to that budget. The conference are going to support that budget for development. And the churches also need to contribute to that budget. In that context, when we organize the plan for the distribution of the offerings, we include 20% for development. But it's sad to say, since 1995, the development plan and the development concept has been disappear around the world in the different divisions. It's sad because today we need more buildings, churches, and more schools and more camp facilities. So, okay, this 20% mean that the church now remain with the 60% for the local church. Listen to me. In those divisions where they are not applying the development plan, they need to organize it. This is one option. Or retain the 20% to the local church budget, to return to the local church, you know? Because if you don't have the plan, the churches don't have the responsibility to send money. But the best way is not to return the money, but to organize the plan. So I appeal you to take consideration this original plan, because it was successful in the places where they apply. Now, you need to also to make a difference between the first 20% that the church sent to the General Conference. That is a share offering. The churches not expected that the General Conference return that money because it's for missions and for the needs around the world. But this 20% for development was the condition that the conference going to return that money supporting the building churches and school and academies and camp facilities. So the church finally received a benefit of this 80%. You see it as the same principle, the tithe. The tithe share 20%, and the local conference use 80%. In offerings, the churches share 20% and receive the benefits of the 80%. What is the philosophy behind the combined offering plan? The philosophy was to introduce a balanced offering support to the different levels of the church, avoiding overprotecting one level and weakening another level. Before this idea, before this plan, we had a extreme competence between the levels in the field of offering. Now, with this plan, that competence is eliminated. It was also intended to protect the money offering for physical development, because the income from offering is less than tithe income. What we realized in those years and now is when the tithe is in this level, offering is in this level. Usually 1/3 or 25. So the amount is different. This small money coming from offering need to be used for physical development. Why? Because the church is not using tithe money for physical development, to building churches, for example. You see? Until this moment, the church is not using tithe money for building churches and other things. For that, we need to protect the money offerings in order to use for physical development. The budget of the conference mission, as well as the departmental activities or events, should be supported by tithe money. Listen to me, directors. When you are going to find that your division are doing a different way, please remember this. All the activities of the department, the payroll of salaries for pastors, all the session is from tithe money. The regular offerings of the General Conference are those that organization request only a weekly, monthly, or quarterly basis during the year. So in this category, you have the 4 offerings of the Sabbath School: weekly, or monthly, or quarterly. Special offerings of the General Conference are those that organization requests once a year to support special projects and ministries like Adventist World Radio. So the special offering include also the project that the General Conference has in every session. I remember in those years, Elder Smith, the project was to build a big radio in Asia. Guam. And today we have in Guam. And still we have a strong program with the Adventist World Radio that are preaching in many different languages, 24 hours. So these offering really are working until today. Let's continue. We need to remember that all collection taken, including the Sabbath School and church services offering, are included in the combined offering system. In one union, the stewardship director announced, "Brethren, from now, we don't need to collect the Sabbath School offerings." Why? The General Conference not suspending the offerings. The General Conference organized the system. So you can continue promoting the Sabbath School offerings now with a different system. In some French territory, they do the same. You know what happened with the offerings? Boom, go down. So this system is not to eliminate, to avoid. The church continuing the same. Continue. Yes, Elder Smith. Could you open your microphone?
Another reason for the continuation of education was that you cannot dictate to church members or to anybody what they're going to do. So they had the option of the new plan that was being introduced slowly
Yeah.
around the world, or they could continue the system that they had been used to through the years.
Thank you, Elder. While encouraging the combined offering system, the plan will respect the wishes of the donor who designate a specific use for the offering. I remember in Miami when I was at the stewardship director in the division for 18 years, one of the members heard about India, the problem in India to build the churches, and they say, I want to send some money to India. Can I do it? Yes, yes, you can do it. Put it in the envelope with a specific explanation, and that money will be through the channels and support that project in India. The combined offering system is a practical way to provide spiritual and financial support to the churches who participate in the mission of the church in any part of the world in developed countries, not only developing countries. At the beginning, some think that, well, maybe this is good for India or maybe good for Indonesia, but we are in the developed country. Listen, the people are practically in the same situation in all parts of the world. They don't know the structure of the church. They don't know what is division, what is union, what is local conference. If you put pressure over the member to decide what is most important in one level or what they don't know. They don't know. So the system eliminates the many call for offerings and promote the concept of one global offering that includes support to all levels of the church. It's the same system that we as a church has been practiced for more than 100 years. You need to consider also that in many parts of the world, many members don't understand the church, the structure. This system facilitates automatic balance support to all the levels. If you have a very disbalanced support, this formula is going to establish the balance. Establish the balance. Also, this provides more time for the study of the word. Listen, if you have too many promotions, now the Sabbath school have less time for the study. The Bible study guide. And sometimes the preacher not have enough time to spread the word of God. So this is something. Please don't make a confusion in our big day, the Sabbath day, with many and many and many promotions. I have 6 minutes to explain the steps in the transition. One of the problems that had the division, Elder Marcos Buffin, is that many of the divisions that at this moment have the combined offering plan, they do it hearing some comment here, hearing another comment, but they don't know the philosophy, they don't know the system, they don't know the methodology, they don't, many things. So at this moment, the plan is not the same. And I hope that maybe after this presentation, you are going to make some correction. Number 2, it's necessary to convene a stewardship summit for junior administrator and a stewardship director. Why? Listen, we need to realize that the administrator in our church are the more busy people in the world. And every administrator have their own agenda. Sometimes you have the administrator here, but his mind is in their own agenda and is thinking about that. So for that, we need to call a meeting to explain the administrators and also the stewardship director. Obtain approval from the division, union, and local and field boards in order that the plan give the denominational support. Gradually. This is very important. Don't try to do all the division at the same time. In Inter-America, we didn't that way. Gradually, we began with one union, only one union. With the success, we learned some issues, include 2 more unions. So it was a process that we completed in maybe 4 or 5 years. But now, all the unions are working in the plan. Explain to the members how the funds are used in a way that is easily understandable. We had a competence. Some people from independent ministry and from dissident ministry are trying to convince the members that the church are not doing the thing in the good way. So they call as a better recipient for the tithes and offerings. That's why they're trying to collect from that situation. We need to explain the funds. But listen, take it easy. Don't complicate the situation to the members. Explain in a very simple way. If you are going to explain with many percentage and it's a confusion. Explain very simple, very simple. Now, I need to finish in 3 minutes, and I want to tell you this one. I made reference some historical issues, some very important issues here. If you, after I finish this seminar, you are confused, don't worry. You are not alone. Our members in the church are in the same situation. And who are going to provide the right orientation, the right information, the right inspiration? The stewardship director. You are privileged in this position. But at the position alone, not make the change. You know, you need to put interest. You need to motivate. You need to realize that this is a very important, not because the money, but because the challenge to help the church in a spiritual revival program that start with a more knowledge about God. Who is God? I have 1.5 minutes more. Listen, usually we preach about Laodicea, okay? And sometimes the preacher describe the problem of Laodicea. But I heard very few sermons about the solution for Laodicea. And the solution of Laodicea began in Revelation chapter 3, verse 18, when God is recommended. Began. I recommend. And when we read that expression, the person who is talking is the divine person. So the good and the appropriate start for stewardship and for any revival in the church is beginning with God. Who is God? Who is God? So my brothers, be privileged to have in this position. Pastor Bonfim, the associate, every division. It's a great challenge, but it's the right way to help the church. Thank you very much.